Today, we're going to have I want to welcome you all to the Canadian Institute of Forestry Rocky Mountain Section technical session on timber supply. We're part of the Canadian Institute of Forestry, and it's a national body that offers practitioners opportunities for continuing education, e-lectures, forestry chronicle, student engagement, national awards, and is moving into some aspects of advocacy that are important for forestry. The motto of the CIF is the voice of forestry practitioners. And today we would like to think that we are going to hopefully do a good job of being that voice with our technical session. And especially in these times of COVID-19. We hope that by the end of the day, you'll view this as a useful contribution from the CIF and continue your support and membership and the aspects of what the CIF stands for. We want to acknowledge FRIA funds and FRIP funding support from Weyerhaeuser Pembina and West Fraser Timber, and we thank the sponsors for this. Today we're hosting this session on a different remote platform than you're probably used to. And it's a bit terrifying to start something that's completely different. Jeff Renton is the co-host, and he's our technological wizard behind the scene, and he has a Wizard of Oz logo that you'll sometimes see. And so, Jeff, turn your cam and mic on for a second, at least, to show everyone what you look like. And we will, I guess he's not going to do it right now. The principle here is we're trying to promote a lot of discussion of this event and combat Zoom fatigue. That's one of the issues. Hands-on experience is going to be a part of the learning platform today. So it's our first try at this. We're excited about the technology, and we want to make sure that you understand that you have to be patient sometimes because we are all learning, and we may have some transmission issues occasionally. Okay, by now most of you know the basics of the Remo platform, and we want to reinforce a few features for the day. Turn your camera and microphones on in a number of different places. Use your mouse wheel to size the images on the screen. And use tile. Go to the tile view and the presentation and the gallery view to look at different screen types. Participate in questioning the speakers by using your chat function. During the breakout sessions, we want you to move to either a new table to match your interests in a general topic, or sometimes if the room is really filled, you may have to move to the second floor temporarily or to some side tables temporarily so that there is some space at new tables. And we want to make sure that you have room for the speaker or the table leader at each table. So the last person who enters may have to move to a new table to allow the table leader in, if they're not in there already. Once you're participating in the discussion, please remain at the table for the 25-minute session. Jeff is going to lead the event and in terms of the coordination of the event. Follow his instructions. There is a second floor, and some of you are on the second floor, and you can come back down to the main floor make sure you come back down to the main floor for your discussions with table leaders. We've added extra tables. There's a Ted Gooding table Ted is going to talk about timber management and forest level planning. A Charles Nocktable Charles is from the University of Alberta, climate change and forests. A Bev Wilson table from the government of Alberta. She's going to be talking about inventory and management planning. And that will be the discussion on that table. Juha Metsäranta from the Canadian Forestry Service is going to be forecasting future productivity or carbon. And I'll be leading a table, social and regulatory issues that resist changes and how we can handle some of these issues. So those are some of the things that we will be trying to do. Okay, moving on to the technical session. The topic today is timber supply. The Forest Products Association of Canada states that forest products industry of Canada contributes about $73 billion to Canadian manufacturing. So it's a big part of our 12% of our manufacturing GDP in Canada. It's one of the largest employers. 600 communities are dependent upon forestry, and it provides 230,000 direct jobs and 600,000 indirect jobs. It's a big player in Canada's economy. In the last decade, many regions of Canada, Ontario, Quebec, BC, have seen declines in wood supply, leading to mill closures coupled with economic and social damage to forestry communities. While this problem has not fully been implemented or seen to be the case in Alberta yet, if most of us sat down and were quiet and thought about it a bit, and when we're honest with ourselves, we'd say we're on much of the same path in Alberta. So the real question is, this decline comes at a time when society is placing a lot of value on forest products. We have recent record high prices for lumber and for panel boards. We're embracing use of mass timbers in tall buildings. And there's increasing recognition that wood is a green building product. Trees fix carbon, and wood can be substituted for steel and concrete that have high emissions of greenhouse gases in their production. In this tech session, we're going to cover a bunch of different topics. We'll start to address the rational ways that we could mitigate declining supply of timber. Logically, these include protecting the existing forest from loss or damage. And the fire losses and the insect losses in the last decades have been outstanding. We're depleting our forests at a rapid rate. Growing the next forest at a faster rate. And this might be coming we can do this by taking full advantage of genetics and intensive silviculture. And we'll have speakers on that issue. Increasing forest land use. Land base, and the land base could be coming from afforestation, or it could be coming from other strategies. We have to make sure that the forest is managed optimally, and this comes from improving forest management policies and regulations, and many of these are going to be somewhat difficult for us to get our heads around in some cases, because they're long-standing policies and regulations that we've lived with for a long time. But we still will have to ask the question, are they serving our needs now? So let's get rolling. We've assembled a group of speakers who will discuss the issues of timber supply, provide us with ideas and some directions forward. Okay. We will have the opportunities for delegates to have more one-on-one conversations with these folks in breakout sessions. We have 3 of these today. And in these breakout sessions, in the last period of the day, we will review the issues addressed during during the day and put together some closing statements of where we might go next. And this is going to be 2 to 5 minute summaries of the really high points at each one of the tables. Sorry, my camera keeps playing with me, but 2 to 5 minutes, we cannot go beyond that. And so we'll have to limit our discussion of that in that final session to those times. Highlights, that's what we're looking for, and what would be helpful for moving forward. Delegates can ask questions in the chat function along the way. Ted Gooding has long experience in timber supply modeling and land and forest management planning, and he'll help us in that last session. And we'll have to do it probably in two stages, because we can't get all of the table leaders on the stage at the same time. So we'll have the first 5, the additional 5 tables first, and then with Jeff Mycock and Bob Winship, and then we'll have the second group of speakers come onto the stage after that. Okay, so I'm going to remind the speakers we need to stay on time, and we will give you a 1 minute warning if you're at the end of your allotted time. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to be quite nasty if we go beyond the 10-minute time slot. Okay. And you'll have to, I apologize in advance. So our first speaker is Jeff Mycock. Jeff is the Chief Forester of West Fraser's BC operation, and he's been there since at that position since 2016. Jeff started his career as a field forester, working across a variety of disciplines, including silviculture, operations, forest planning, and in the central Cariboo and Cranbrook regions, some of it working with forestry consulting firms. His career at West Fraser started in 2001, and in 2015, he moved to a corporate forest role in West Fraser Quesnel office. Since then, he spent much of his time on First Nations and other resource stakeholders and the big issues related to forest planning for West Fraser. Jeff's long and diverse background gives him a broad perspective on policy and practice, and we're delighted he can be here to share with us his presentation entitled Decades of Timber Supply Hindsight. If we knew what we know now, if we knew then what we know now. And I'm going to get Jeff to share screen if you have a presentation. So welcome, Jeff.